Again, our law enforcement agencies have been grilled by MPs in Parliament today. They were appearing before the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. Now, SCOPA wanted answers on corruption allegations that were made by the former Eskom CEO, Ruyter. In response, law enforcement agencies say they are not investigating any politician after the Ruyter said a senior politician was involved with graft at Eskom. Let's unpack today's proceedings further now with Advocate Stefanie Fick. She's an executive director for the Accountability Division in the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, that's OUTA. Advocate, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Just an overriding question first. I mean, when you were listening and hearing what was coming out of today's proceedings in Parliament, the questions and the very generic answers that were being given, what thoughts crossed your mind?
There's some worrying thoughts. I think we've had this whole discussion about state capture, prosecutions. There was the whole Nulani matter that, that was, we don't want to ring the same bell over and over and over again, but that was sort of the first state capture and hopefully you can see someone in orange overall. And, just the general message is, are we ever going to fix the problem? Are we ever going to hold to account the individuals, the politicians, whoever you are, for the corruption that is really destroying South Africa and its communities? The people that is bearing the brunt of the fact that we do not have available money is ordinary South Africans. We just discussed the fact that, at the end of the day, it's the unemployment rate, the fact that people can't just look after themselves. We can't send our kids to schools because the schools are not either having electricity or falling apart. And that then you look at the law enforcement that is supposed to hold to account, and there's just nothing coming forth.
Yeah, so that's your general review, but let's just zoom in on some of the issues. I mean, are you concerned, or should we be concerned, rather, let me put it like that, that according to what came out today in Parliament, the former CEO of Eskom, Ruyter, never brought to the attention of the Special Investigating Unit, SIU, the allegations that he's made in the interview with my colleague Annika Larsen here on eNCA?
Firstly, it's a sensitive topic in the sense that I don't want to pick sides. I mean, what should happen is that the evidence or that they have in their possession, whether that's under the Ruyter, the board, whoever's working at Eskom, should bring everything under the attention of law enforcement. The only problem I see with SIU is a special investigation unit, and they investigate whatever proclamation there is. So they need to obtain certain information, and then they can go to the president and say, we want a proclamation and we want to investigate. Now, the SIU can't do criminal investigations per se. That is the Hawks. So what for me is priority is that there's a criminal investigation. The SIU do have the powers to civilly get some money back. But I mean, Eskom can also do that. So whether that was a mistake.
Sorry, Advocate. Sorry, I wanted to say, considering what we heard today, that no politician currently is being investigated, but Mr. Ruyter told us that there are politicians who are implicated in this alleged Eskom corruption. I mean, how should we view the fact that there's no political person or politician who's being investigated?
Oh, that's also worrying. Is it because they do not have the names? Is it, or is it that we haven't seen any politician really being held to account for anything? Even if you look at some of the state capture investigations and prosecutions, we haven't seen the politicians really hold to account. I mean, there was our previous Minister of Mineral Resources, Sibizi Zwane, that was just found guilty, got a bit of a ridiculous slap on the wrist for what he did, but he's not facing prosecution. So where is the problem? Is it that we we know who they are, but not willing to investigate and prosecute? Is there not a political will to make sure that politicians aren't corrupt? Or is it that the information is not shared?
Yeah, meanwhile, while no politician is being investigated according to what the law enforcement agencies, being the police, being the SIU and the Hawks, told SCOPA today, we heard from the Nat Jones Energy and Security co-chairperson, Peter Jacobs, saying that there have been 210 arrests made at Eskom for various kinds of crimes, including the stealing of copper cables, aluminium cables, batteries, transformers, and so forth. That should be welcomed.
Oh, yes, that is extremely good news. You must remember what is always what we need to consider is that, firstly, there's state capture. Many people is vocal about the fact that we haven't really seen state, people being held accountable for state capture. We have Eskom and a lot of other SOEs that is in serious trouble. We know that there's still corruption going on, but then each and every day we are a country riddled by crime. So the prosecuting authority doesn't just have to look at, past crimes, but also have to look at crimes that is happening each and every day, like in Eskom. So, you know what, I congratulate the police and the prosecuting teams that are making this possible. The question is this all of it just accountability? So, or do we need to still have, for example, I want to say it again, a political will to effect change at, for example, Eskom? It is excellent news that people are held accountable. But how does that fix the fact that we are currently having stage 6 load shedding? So there's many ways to fix the problem. One of them is accountability, holding people to account, making sure that they go to jail. Another way is disciplinary hearings. It's not just about criminal acts, it's about unethical acts. And then it is about how do we turn Eskom around so that there's enough electricity for everybody. We complain about load shedding. There are people that still do not have electricity. So it is the problem. It's a big problem, but it's a problem we can fix. And some of it really just needs ethical leadership in order to fix it.
Ethical leadership is needed. Thank you very much for your views. As always, Advocate Stefanie Fick. She's the Executive Director for the Accountability Division at OUTA.